Speaking of Apple and Google, we've talked a little bit about this relationship in the past. This is the relationship where Google just sends Apple billions of dollars. It's that relationship. I don't know if you remember, but
yeah, those kinds.
Yeah, they do this in order to secure the default search, the ownership over the default search when you launch the Safari web browser on your iPhone. Obviously, this is a huge footprint and a huge business driver for Google, who originally and still to this day is an advertising company with an enormous and popular search engine.
Yeah.
So they need those searches, Willie do. And if they didn't have that on iOS, now we've talked about this before, I don't know who else it would be.
Yeah.
But presumably it would be someone else because these companies are competitors. And so there's currently the Justice Department is investigating. There's a lawsuit accusing Google of abusing its monopoly power. And so then within that filing on page 36, this figure comes out between $8 and $12 billion, which we've talked about this before, but we're getting more detail. We're getting it's getting a little more granular what exactly is going on. And so this $8 to $12 billion, sometimes when you're talking about these big companies, the numbers get lost. Like 8 to 12 billion. Is that a lot? I don't, trillions? I mean, what? You can't, they're so big, the numbers.
There's nothing to compare it to.
Exactly. So here's the best relationship, I think, in order to try to quantify the magnitude of this relationship. That number, 8 to 12 billion, accounts for up to 1/5 of Apple's worldwide income. 1/5! 1/5 of their income. Income, not profits.
Right.
That's a key. That's a key. Because when Apple makes an iPhone, there's a lot of costs associated with that. When they get that check from Google, oh, baby, that's profit.
Yeah.
Oh, baby, that's a margin. There's a difference. This is huge. That is a huge amount of money yearly. Isn't it? Let's be honest here. But what's weird about it is they say 1/5, but then they say that the worldwide income is 260 billion. And then the number is the guess is between 8 to 12 billion. So 1/5 of 260 billion is a lot more than 8 billion. So we got to be wondering about these numbers that are coming on, just how big this is. But as the things continue to get uncovered here, I think we can imagine that this is a very substantial percentage of Apple's revenue in order for them to think it's worthwhile to do it. That part we have for sure. If it is 1/5, my goodness, that is an enormous, I mean, that's impossible for Apple to say no to.
Yeah.
No wonder they keep saying yes up until this point. I mean, they uninstalled, you used to have YouTube by default on your iPhone when you took it out the box. They got rid of that. They said, see, this could happen to Google as well.
Yeah.
We could put Bing here.
Bing.
I mean, that would be equally problematic. I guess could they do their own search engine? I mean, they're trying with Siri to do an assistant. Maybe they could do their own search engine.
I mean, they're doing maps.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's a slow process.
Presumably at some point, they got to pull off the Band-Aid, stop taking tens of billions of dollars from Google and just do their own search engine, I guess. And we talked about that. I think we did a clip.
Yeah.
Apple building its own search engine. There's probably some more details in there. You can go look for it. But anyways, this is a very aggressive move, and it certainly leaves no room for any other. Google commands 80% of the global search traffic currently. They're by default on every Android phone, and then they pay tens of billions to be on every iPhone.
Yeah.
What's left over here? So anyway, that's the claim. But one of the problems I have with this investigation on the monopolistic practices is, and we've talked about this before, is like who takes their spot. We really have a problem figuring out who that is in the absence of Apple doing it themselves.
Yeah, if they build their own, is it worth the 8 billion or 12 billion that Google gives them?
Exactly.
Right?
Because they never wanted to be an ad company either, so they would just have to do it without generating fresh revenue from it.
Yeah, and it's going to take time.
Absolutely. Anyway.